Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. It's time for Taroscopes. We're going to be doing the Taroscopes for the sign of Aquarius. That's Aquarius Sun, Moon, or Rising for the month of October. Yes, we have made it to October. Maybe barely by the skin of our teeth or our nails on the, like, right? But we're here. And things are changing, vibrations are changing, things are shifting. So before we get into all of that, I do want to welcome my new subscribers. Welcome to this wonderful community of like-minded souls. You're going to like it here. For those of you who have been with me for years, you know how much I appreciate your continued support. It has been an honor to hang with you for all this time. And to my new members on my YouTube channel, for those of you who have selected membership, thank you so much for your support. There are more videos to come, a few more deplorables for the basket, and a few more adorables for the basket. I like to be an equal opportunity evaluator. And for my my patrons on Patreon, which have been with me for years and is actually starting to grow again. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. And as with all my memberships, my Patreon folks get these videos first. So, all right, let me light a candle because I always light the candle uh, on the what is right now the Aquarius altar. That's my painting for Aquarius that I did back in 2022 when Spirit insisted that I do a series of zodiacal paintings. That was the one that came up for um, Aquarius. All right, let's jump into the astrology. Okay. All right, just give me a minute here to get into the. All right. So we're going to start with the astrology of October. And I do want to point out that in October, we do shift energy. October is the 10th month, so we're bringing in that 10-1 vibration this month. The 10-1 on the tree of life sits right here in the path that connects the Sephiroth of Jupiter. Jupiter is in Cancer right now with the Sephiroth of Venus. Venus and Jupiter are both considered benefics in astrology. And so ultimately, this 10-1 works for our benefit. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way because if you're on the top, you end up descending to the bottom. And if you're on the bottom, you start to ascend to the top. Wherever you are on the wheel, you'll be there again. So the perspective that even if you're at your lowest right now, there is an equal and opposite time when you'll be at your highest. And if we can find ourselves in the middle of that and just observe it as life goes up and down and go with the flow of that and make the adjustments, nothing is forever. Even though sometimes it feels like it's forever, nothing is forever. And then we have the 9 vibration of the universal year. I've been talking about that all year. 9 is an energy of endings and new beginnings, releasing that which no longer serves, and taking the vision and the experiences that you had in the last cycle, bringing them into the next cycle, excuse me, which begins in 2026, and growing and building upon those realizations and those understandings. And then we can add those 2 vibrations together and we get a 3rd vibration, which is specifically for October of 2025. And that's the 19-1, which is the Sun card. And the Sun in the tarot is illumination, full illumination. The sun is out and you can see what's going on. So we're going to get to see what's been going on. What's going on? Tell me what's going on. It is on the path that connects the Sephiroth of Mercury, which is right here. Mercury is very busy this month. It goes through 3 signs, or at least spends some time in 3 signs. Of course, the most in Scorpio, because that's where the middle sign. Um, and the moon, and the moon, and Mercury, that path is the path of emotional intelligence. Why are you feeling the way you're feeling? So what might happen is you might have been feeling a certain way, but didn't have any proof of, like, you should be feeling that way. Like, why am I feeling this way? I don't understand. My life is great, or my life is terrible and I'm feeling joyful. And so you're like, why am I feeling this way? Well, why are you feeling this way? Something could be revealed to you to explain that. Explain why you were feeling a certain way at a certain time. Something is revealed, and you go, oh, is that what was going on underneath my conscious awareness? I guess those feelings I was feeling came from a deeper place, a place that's more perhaps unconscious, which is really what, or subconscious, which is what the moon is. And so that path between the moon and Mercury is this energy of the subconscious energies coming up to our conscious awareness. All right. And of course, that was really the energy of last month completely with the 18-9 universal, 18-9 month, the 9-9 energy. Okay. So as we start the month, we're starting with a square between Mercury and Jupiter. Squares create crisis, and Mercury and Jupiter creates a lot of conversation, a lot of information, possibly a lot of arguing over things like belief and facts. Um, on the 6th, Mercury ingresses into Scorpio. Mercury in Libra wants to be fair, wants to be balanced, and Mercury in Scorpio's like, no, I'm getting down to the bottom of this. I don't care whose feelings I hurt. Now, I'm not saying that people with Mercury and Scorpio go around hurting people's feelings willy-nilly, but sometimes you have to face things that are not easy to face, and people's feelings can get hurt, and that's sort of like a Mercury and Scorpio thing. Not necessarily intended, although you can, with Mercury and Scorpio, be pretty vengeful and pick your moments to, take somebody out by the knees. Scorpio knows where all the weak spots are. It doesn't know it's not necessarily determined to use them, but they are aware, because if you come at them, they'll know where to hit you so that they don't get hurt. Like, that's really a Scorpio energy. So we have Mercury ingressing into Scorpio. When planets move into the first degrees of a sign, they're getting activated by Pluto, they're getting activated by Saturn, they're getting activated by Neptune, and they're getting activated by Uranus. So the three transpersonal planets and the planet associated, Saturn, with reality. Um, so we get a reality check, and then we also get this overlay of, here's the reality. Now, what do you want to do to evolve through this? Right? So there's this imperative to do things in a different way. Um, on the day that Mercury ingresses, on the 6th, when it ingresses into Aries, we also have the full moon, ingresses into Scorpio. We also have the full moon in Aries. Interesting, Scorpio and Aries are both related to the sun, to the planet Mars. And Mars is spending the whole month in Scorpio, digging deep, digging deep. The full moon is always a point of awareness. We can connect that with the awareness we see in the Sun card. The Sun card is often associated with the opposition in astrology. The opposition brings awareness. The Sun brings awareness. Um, uh, Chases away the dark, so you can see what's really there. Um, the full moon in Aries, our feelings in Aries, good instincts. The Sun in Libra, trying to hold the balance of that. I don't know how successful we'll be. We'll have to see when we get there. But there's definitely an awareness around your sense of who you are and how you relate to others, Aries and Libra. On the 7th, we have Mercury. Well, On the 6th, Mercury in conjunct Neptune. On the 7th, it in conjunct Uranus. That means Mercury is in a Yod configuration and then gets squared by Pluto. The squares of Mercury to Pluto and later the Sun to Pluto are last quarter crisis and consciousness squares. And so squares always create a crisis, a need for change. And this one is about changing your minds. And it's also one that's quite rebellious and wants to push against the powers that be. Um, on the 8th, we have a sextile between Venus and Jupiter. Remember, Venus and Jupiter are the two planets on the tree of life that get activated by the 10-1. So this sextile, we have a sextile energy on this 10-1 is actually very powerful. Your sextiles are powerful in their way because they're opportunistic and they open, and so they open opportunities. And if you are one to recognize an opportunity for an opening, then this is your kind of aspect. And if you have sextiles in your chart, you're probably quite good at seeing the opportunities available and availing yourself to them, right? But because this is on the tree of life, connected to the vibration of the month, and these two Sephiroth, which really are about generosity, this can be a very powerful time on the 8th of October. On the 11th of October, we have Venus making her opposition to Saturn. And then the next day, 2 days later, we have Venus making an opposition to Neptune. Now, the opposition to Saturn, Venus is in Virgo and Saturn is in Pisces because Saturn just moved back into Pisces at the beginning of September. The opposition to Neptune is still is when Venus has moved into Libra and then opposes Neptune at 1 degree of Aries. As soon as Venus moves into Libra, she's actually this opposition to Neptune, and then also a trine on the next day to Uranus and a trine to Pluto. So she's part of a grand trine. She's actually part of a kite with the grand trine, Pluto, Venus, and Uranus, and the opposition that creates the kite formation. For those of you who know what I'm talking, the astrologers out there who know what I'm talking about. And kites, the difference between a grand trine and a kite is a grand trine can sort of subsist on itself. And if nothing's touching it, is a lot of creative energy that never gets activated or accessed. But when you have a kite, it create the opposition to one of the planets in the grand trine, and then the sextiles it creates with the other two planets give us an opportunity to actually get a whole lot done. And people who have these kites in their chart are very active and get a lot done. I'm thinking of Barack Obama has had this kite. Um, Princess Di has a kite. Kamala Harris has a kite. Most people who are very do a lot of, do their work, we'll say, and get a lot done and have a lot of creativity will usually have these kites in their chart. All right, let's see. On the 17th, the Sun squares Jupiter. Both the Sun and Jupiter take up the most space in our solar system. So when they interact with each other, they take up a lot of space. Squares create crisis, and the Jupiter can make can be overreaching ego. So for those people with overreaching egos, this could be a time when they overextend themselves, which can be its own problem. On the 19th, we have a conjunction between Mercury and Mars, using your words as a weapon, perhaps, or using your words like a scalpel to be incisive, to bring something to light or to cut something out. Scorpio, uh, people with Mars and Scorpio generally are pretty good surgeons, pretty good with sharp things. And then Mercury conjunct that sort of brings the mind into it. So a very incisive mind energy here. Now, depending on whether you're a high vibrational Scorpio or a low vibrational Scorpio, you'll have access to this energy. So while it can be very helpful for those of us with good intentions, it can be equally as helpful for those with poor intentions. And so so what do you do about that? Well, you get most people are well intended. You get more and more people to focus their mind and their actions on something that they want to create, the worlds they want to create. All right, on the 21st, we have the full moon the new moon of this lunation, this month's lunation, and it is a new moon, sorry about that, at 29 degrees of Libra, involvement in humanity's evolution of wisdom. The Sabian symbol says we take from our ancestors and pass to our descendants and thus co-create the flowing flowering of knowledge. So this says you must, um, in relationship, Libra, face to face, one on one, conversational, speaking and then listening, and then listening and then speaking, um, about the knowledge that we have and how it can help both bridge the past, our past experiences, and our history to the future, to the future. On the 22nd of October, we have Neptune ingressing back into Pisces. Now, Neptune has been in Aries for a number of months, and it's been a very different experience than when it was in Pisces for the 13 years prior to that, or 14 and almost 13 plus years prior to that. Now, it goes back into Pisces for its last little swim in the great cosmic sea. Of course, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, so it's very comfortable there, much less comfortable, I think, Neptune is in Aries. But it's almost like this is the last opportunity to really let go of something. And we'll see what that is. Now, the day that Neptune goes back into Pisces is the same day as the sun moves forward into Scorpio. Both Pisces and Scorpio are water signs. So we can expect a lot of emotions. We could maybe even expect a lot of water. So if you're in an area where you get flooded or, close to the ocean where there could be tsunami or something like that, just be aware that the 22nd could be one of those days. And then we also have that day, the sun in conjunct Neptune, the sun at the last degree of Libra, making that in conjunction to the newly dumped into the great cosmic sea, Neptune, in Pisces. So things are not clear. Things suddenly get very, very, from a very sort of a sharp mind on the 19th. By the 22nd, things are starting to get more unclear. It will clear up. It will clear up, but it's definitely going to be a shift in energy. It might actually cool some things down because things have been pretty hot. All right, on the 23rd, we have the sun. It moved into Scorpio, so it's going to get into a yod with Uranus, but Uranus is still in Gemini and Neptune, which is now in Pisces. It's still in the yod formation, and then it gets squared by Pluto. Again, it's a last quarter rebellious crisis in consciousness square to the sun, and the sun is our ego. It happened before with Mercury, right? It happened back, when did it happen, Mercury? On the 7th, right? We had the square of Mercury to Pluto. Now we have the same square, only this time it's the sun, and the sun is our sense of self. It's our purpose. Um, uh, it's our ego, and so and so Pluto is power, and so we're having a bit of identity crisis, I would say, at that time. But we've been having an identity crisis for a while, so it's, is it new? No, but it's a different level, a different sign, a different, everything is, it's all part of the same challenge, I think. On the 25th, Mercury trines Saturn, and the next day, um, it trines, no, on the 25th, it trines Saturn. Oh, sorry. On the 24th, it trines Jupiter, and then on the 25th, it trines Saturn, which means that Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn are in a grand trine, and it's in water. It's in water. We have then on the 28th, Mars making a waxing trine to Jupiter. This is a creative trine, creative self-expression. It has the overlay of Leo. Mars and Jupiter, a lot of energy, to get what you need to get done, especially stuff you believe in. But again, it always depends on what you believe in. So these aspects in the sky they don't have a horse in the game, so to speak. They are what they are, and we get to utilize it. But we have, those of us who watch these astrology forecasts, we get a sense of when it's time to apply ourselves in certain ways that make it maybe more powerful. And this is a powerful day to sort of get your point across, so to speak. On the 29th, we have Mercury trining Neptune right before it enters into Sagittarius. Once it enters into Sagittarius, it opposes Uranus, and then it sextiles Pluto. So when Mercury moves into Sagittarius, it's making aspects to those transpersonal planets again, only these are a little bit friendlier. And so Mercury has, for a month where Mercury is going direct, it has definitely been challenged through its journey. All right, so that's what I want to say about that. Let me just take you to your sign, Aquarius, as we go through the signs. All right, so here we have the sun. Here come the sun, doo 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 doo. And we're in Aquarius. The sun starts the month in the ninth house of truth and justice and perspective in Libra. So this is part of the fact, this is part of your humanitarian nature, equality for people who are different than you or foreigners or aliens, the ninth house. We have Venus starting in the eighth house and then moving quickly into that ninth house, where then she will make the trines to Pluto and Uranus. These trines are all in fire for you. The trine from Venus to Pluto, ninth to first, and then Pluto to Uranus, first to fifth, Uranus to Venus, fifth to ninth. Okay, so this is very inspiring. It almost very spiritual in nature for you, Aquarius. And Aquarius is not a spiritual sign, but it is a sign that does like science and facts and experimentation and things like that. So it's not necessarily it's more of a secular sign, Aquarius is, but all the same, it gets inspired through this grand trine, and then the grand trine creates the kite with Neptune here, and actually Saturn as well, because they're still very close, even though they're in separate signs. Now, this Neptune does go back into Pisces, but that doesn't happen until the 22nd, the same day that the sun moves into the 10th house. Now, Mars has been in the 10th house, is going to be in the 10th house all month. That's a lot of activity and action at work. Could be arguments as well. If there are arguments, people will see them because it's up in the 10th house. But the sun moving through the 10th house is very good for your public standing. So chances are you will be seen to be seen with, and to be seen. That's you this month. Mercury starts in the ninth house in Pisces. Excuse me, in Libra, then moving into Scorpio, where it goes through the gauntlet of the transpersonals here, transpersonal signs affecting that. Mercury in Scorpio, and also the Sun in Scorpio, right towards the end of the month. And then Mercury goes into Sag to end the month up, just the last day or so, and then makes that opposition to Uranus. That's significant. Pluto's retrograde turning direct. This is actually incorrect. Pluto turns direct here, and that's a big deal because it's your first house. And so when Pluto moves direct, we may see um, more progressive energy, which is what we see at the end of the month with the sextiles, especially the sextile between the last one I spoke of. Was it Neptune? The one on the 30th. I'm sorry, I can't. It's all in my head, but sometimes it gets jumbled up. All right, so that's the story. I will tell you right now what sextile I was talking about because I can't just leave it. I want to give you the information. Mercury sextile Pluto. That was it. It was a progressive square, a progressive sextile, Mercury sextile Pluto. Okay. All right, let me stop the share here. And I'm going to be using, for the reading, I'm going to be using the Wild Unknown because you guys are wild and crazy. I'm a wild and crazy guy. I don't know if he's an Aquarius. His humor was kind of Aquarian. Absurdist. He was like an absurdist with his silly arrows to his head and stuff. Oh, the 70s. All right. Just give me a couple of good shuffies here. Get a little snap in my step. Whoops. I'm not that good of a shuffler. When I was in college in the summers, I would work, for book money and fun money, beer money, really. Um, and I worked in a bank. And because I worked in a bank at the time, they were just opening casinos in um, Atlantic City. And because I was a teller, I wasn't allowed to be a card dealer. There was some like weird thing you signed. You could never be a card dealer, which is good because I was never really good at it anyway. Nor was I a good teller, although it wasn't like I lost money. I didn't like going to work where I couldn't open a window and breathe fresh air. Like that really bothered me. And you can't do that when you work in a bank. You're not allowed to open anything. Lucky you can open the door. All right. We start with the Son of Swords. So we start with you taking an action. Taking an action. Hopefully, it's an action that was well thought out because sometimes the Son of Swords can take actions, without thinking. Okay, let's see what's crossing that. Trying to maintain balance. So I would say that you're taking an action, and the challenge is to continue on the path and still be able to keep things in balance. Let's see what's underneath all of this. All right. We have so what's underneath it is the nine of wands. In this deck, it's really about like ascending, but you notice that the wands, the trees, there's a lot of things that you can get caught on as you go up. You could easily tumble because your foot gets caught. So you're on a you have decided to take an action, and the challenge is keeping your balance through that action. It does feel like it's spiritual on the spiritual side here. Let's see what's in the past. Yeah, so you had an awakening in the past. And so now you're after your awakening, you're like, I gotta take an action here, and you're taking the action to raise your energy. Hi, baby. Yes, dear. Okay, here we go. You know, I gotta take care of my duties as a kitty mama, right? All right. Let's see what is in the sky. We have the Six of Cups. This is about family. It's about heredity. It's about the past, the family tree. You notice in this deck that the roots are even more expansive than the actual tree that you see above. And so we have to remember, Spirit is saying, remember where you came from, remember your roots. Yeah, are you good? You remember your roots, Charlie? Look at this guy. He's such a mugger. Such a muggalug. I'm gonna have to put you down, sweetie. All right, I'm putting you down. Go ahead. I'll be right with you. In the immediate future, ooh, the High Priestess. So there's something that's going to be revealed to you that at this moment, as we start the month, you don't know yet, but it's as it continues, as the month continues, more and more is going to be revealed. It's almost as if because you're reaching up for a higher perspective, you actually get it and you see things that you hadn't seen before. How you're seen from outside, the Son of Cups, somebody who's trying to bring love and good news into the world. Your domestic situation, oh, the Mother of Pentacles. This is one of my favorites in this deck. The protective mother. So this could be you. You could be the protective mother, or you could feel like your home is a place of protection. Um, and it reflects your values. It reflects you as a person. Let's see your hopes and fears. This is a Four of Pentacles, which is mostly about stability and finances. So I would say this is probably a hope. I don't know a single person who says, "Oh no, I'm so fearful. My finances are so stable." Like nobody says that. Ooh, and we have the Ace of Pentacles as an outcome. That means a new project. A new project is in the works. Potential to bring something new in. Let's see if, oh, and then we get the 10 of Pentacles, or is that the 9? No, that's the 10. So from the 1 to the 10. So this is a big opportunity. Let's see if we can get a major arcana. The Sun of Pentacles, it's a major opportunity if you protect the work that you do involved in this. And let's see, one more, the Lovers. This is a choice card, but it's also about partnership. And in this deck, we see the two geese, Canada geese, not Canadian geese, or Great Northern geese, I believe, flying in tandem together. So this may be a project that you're doing with somebody else. So the opportunity may come through a partnership, which kind of makes sense because this time of the year, with the sun in Libra and then the sun in Scorpio, both those energies are partnership energies. And it's actually a good time to find a partner, um, for the most part. Okay. Underneath, we have the Four of Wands. So that is sort of in this deck, I always see the Four of Wands is getting to the point, seeing the core issue here and building upon it. The Fool, a whole new journey. Yep. And the Two of Wands, another two. I feel there's a lot of twos in this. We have this two, we have the Two of Pentacles, we have the High Priestess two, and the Lovers, which is a 6, is a Gemini card, and the symbol for Gemini looks like the Roman numeral 2. So there's a lot of two energies here. So I feel like there's an opportunity here for you, but it's going to be in a part. All right, somebody else, somebody else. All right, excellent. We're going to pull a Crystal Ally card to wrap this up and to see if there's a crystal that you might be able to use this month as you navigate this new adventure that you've decided to take yourself on. All right. You still meowing at me, Charlie? I don't know what sign Charlie is. I don't think he's an Aquarius. He might be a Leo. He's very vocal. We got him as a rescue, so I don't know when he was born. I know, Charlie. I know. It's very upsetting. Road Knight abilities. Road Knight. This is a fire element card. This talks about your talents and abilities that you've brought in this lifetime, and also the talents and abilities that you've created or worked with in this lifetime. Usually talents come from your previous incarnations, and you just get better at them the more you apply yourself. Rhodonite is actually the I believe the state stone of Massachusetts. In fact, I think I have a piece here in one of my earrings. Um, I'm not sure if this is rhodonite or rhodochrosite, but I think it might be rhodonite. Let's see. It's a similar color. Right. All right. So this says to depend upon the things that you're good at. Stick to what you know. Stick to what you're good at, right? Um, Use your talents and abilities as you move through this new opportunity or these new actions and the opportunity for a new partnership. So that's what I see. So take care of yourself. It's really, the energy is very erratic and crazy. There's a lot of change. Change makes people afraid, and people who are afraid can be dangerous. So be aware of that, but don't let it dissuade you from your appointed rounds, as it were. All right, guys, have yourself a great month. I'll see you again in November, and until then, take care of yourselves. Namaste.